in my bio, you can get the link so you can tune in, or you can just download the mobile app on iOS for Apple users like myself, and on the Google Play Store for Android users. All right, so we're available to you both. All right, so make sure you get in, you tune in. If not, you know what to do. You can wait till I do my work, and then edit everything up and throw it up on YouTube, and you can get it there. And later on iHeart, Spreaker, Spotify, and all that good jazz. So anyway, I got some things that I wanted to talk about today. Thanks, Coach, for tuning in as always. And I know you guys you've seen all the promo for the show. You've seen the flyer, so you know the basic topics, the meat of the show. But we all know we have just concluded Ramadan. Okay, yesterday and today were the closing out ceremonies called the Eid. I am not a Muslim, but what some footage that I saw from yesterday was extremely disturbing. We had a situation, there was a situation last year, and then there was something very similar this year. I don't understand what goes through the mind of someone, and more times than not, or most recently, someone so young, to have those type of weapons, or any weapons in general, at a religious, for lack of a better word, celebration, the commencement of Ramadan. And it's scary because, like I said, it's appearing to be a lot of young people. One young man reportedly shot. Another video I saw with another young individual, and the cops had captured him, and they pulled this long, like assault rifle out of his coat and pants, I assume. 12 arrests from Broad Street, on the campus of Temple University. Thank you, Coach. Yeah, 12 arrests on the campus of Temple University. And again, like I said, extremely, extremely disturbing. Like, I can't put it together. It is very difficult to put it together, where from a lot of brothers that I know, they speak of humbleness, peacefulness, which certainly is not that. I also saw another video of a fight and then an assault, and there were hands and feet applied in this assault. But these young men were all wearing robes. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Again, very extremely disturbing. Again, 2 years in a row. But again, very, very disturbing. Again, not very, very extremely disturbing, because you have people of all ages at these ceremonies, the celebrations. There are kids there, young kids. This is supposed to be a time of celebration. It's like the Christianities had their Passover for Easter and all that. This is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be peaceful. But again, with this type of violence that's constantly going on in our city, but again, it impacts it even more in a negative way, that that it has happened twice at this type of ceremony. Um, it bothers me, yes, because I come across a lot of these individuals who are involved in a lot of this stuff that's going on in the streets today. And they are now, due to Larry Krasner cracking down and making a stand, they are beginning to throw their lives away. And believe you me, they couldn't honestly tell you why. Like, they could tell you something, but if they tell you, you're going to look at them and be like, yeah, okay. All right, that's what you think? All right. And it's like, it's always over things that are silly, if you will. Crazy. Um, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's bad. And again, like I said, it makes it even worse when this type of violence occurs at an id. I don't get it. So again, like, things that we said, things will be done again. 12 arrests. It's not like that's the type of event. There should be no arrests. There were 12. Like I said, they removed a long rifle from a young individual, and then another individual got shot, and then there was another individual who got jumped. And all of this at this celebration. So leads you to question again, did a lot of these young people dress the part to come in and do what they did? Or how serious are they about that religion? Makes me ask myself those two questions. I don't know if anybody else that's tuned in. And again, Instagram at Sports Rap CEO. I don't know what is going on with our young people today. It's sad. It is really, really sad to see so many young men now, like I just said, throwing their lives away. We just saw a couple weeks ago 3 young men, 35 to 70, 40 to 80. So just imagine they're going in their 20s. So let's say they do the minimum, 35. That means he's 55 when he comes out, 60 when he comes out, somewhere around that age, right? It's 2 decades. A lot can change in 2 days, 2 decades. I mean, a lot can change in a decade, but a lot can change in 2 decades. So, they make their decisions, and I don't understand the decisions. Again, like I said, I cannot fathom the reason why you would want to pick that particular event to do something like that. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't get it. I don't understand. Well, that's it for that. I'm gonna get off my soapbox on that because I could probably talk a little bit longer on that, but I'm not going to waste too much more time on that. Again, that's why I said I had to get that off my chest. So that's that, and I'm done with that for now. Getting into what we get into on Monday afternoons, all right? Sports Rap Podcast, LLC, right here on Heat 100 Radio, heat100radio.com. And you know what I always say, you can get the bio, get the link, the 613 link, or you can just tune in on Instagram at Sports Rap CEO and tune in and check out what's going on, all right? So, scores from yesterday. Got NBA scores from Sunday. Clippers and the Cavs. Cavs hold on 127-122. The Blazers fall to the Knicks 110-93. The Hawks put something on the Bucks 145-124. The Pistons fall to the Timberwolves 123-104. There was quite a few other losses in that game. Big brawl in that game. You can get on whatever you need to get to. I'm not going to talk a lot about that brawl. but it was a big brawl in that game. A lot of people involved. Hornets, Pelicans hold on to 98-94. Warriors put something on the Spurs, 148-106. The Raptors get by the Sixers, 127-109. And the Rockets also put up 148 on the Suns, and they take that game 148-109. In the NHL, the Canadians and the Panthers, Canadians hold on 4-2. Sabres get by the Capitals 8-5. The Canucks fall to the Jets 3-1. The Hockey Club beats the Blackhawks 5-2. The Islanders fall to the Hurricanes 6-4. Senators get blanked by the Penguins 1-0. Maple Leafs get by the Ducks 3-1. And the Sharks fall to the Kings 8-1. In Major League Baseball, we now know baseball has started, so I'm repping my guys, my Phils. All right. Phils would be on. They should be actually playing right now. I think their game was first pitch was 3:35 today. So split the screen, picture in picture. You can listen to me and watch the Phils at the same time. All right, yesterday's games in Major League Baseball. Brewers, get beat up on by the Yankees 12-3. Phillies fall to the Nationals 5-1. The Orioles fall to the Blue Jays 3-1. The Rockies fall to the Rays 6-4. The Marlins get by the Pirates 3-2. The Giants get over the Reds 6-3. The Guardians beat the Royals 6-2. Angels 3, White Sox 2. Cardinals 9, Twins 2. Rangers fall to the Red Sox 3-2. The A's fall to the Mariners 2-1. Diamondbacks at home in Arizona beat the Cubs 10-6. And the Braves get blanked by the Padres 5-0. All right. Before I move on, got to give you updated NCAA women's bracket. We have two teams that advanced to the Final Four. UCLA after their winning game against the LSU Tigers yesterday. Shout out to my guy, JC Clark, good friend of the show, my guy. Moving on, made it into the Final Four. So congrats on that, my guy. Wish you the best of luck. South Carolina also advanced yesterday, beating Duke in a tight game. And two good games yesterday. If you didn't watch either one of those games, you missed some good basketball. Some good basketball. Tonight, USC at UConn, and Texas and TCU to round out the women's Final Four. The men's Final Four is set. Auburn and Florida, Duke and Houston will play in the Final Four. So, with all that being said, all right, I just told you NCAA. There is a new tournament, the Crown, or the New Kings tournament. I forget the exact name of it, but it looks like this is possibly replacing the NIT. So there are games tonight in this tournament, the Crown. Utah at Butler, George Washington at Boise State, Nebraska at Arizona State, Georgetown at Washington State. Villanova is also in this pool, and they play tomorrow. So, that being said, we move into what we want to get to today. So we know NBA season is coming to a close, coming down to the wire. And we always talk about tanking. If you notice, there's a tank behind me in my backdrop today. Tanking in pro sports. So, it is very, very heavy in the NBA, we know. It also has some little whispers in football and some other sports, but it's very, very prevalent in the NBA. Over the past several weeks, we've heard talk about the Sixers and how they need to lose games, and they are in the fifth spot now. If they fall below number 6, then their pick goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We really do not want to see that happen, especially with the way Oklahoma City is playing right now. We don't want to see that happen, and they already have enough picks as it is, right? So, tanking, where teams intentionally field less competitive teams to secure higher draft picks in the following year's draft, hoping to improve their long-term prospects. So, we'll talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about some things on can it be fixed. We're also going to talk about why it's here and the effect that it has on the game. And like I said, because it's so heavy in the NBA, we're going to basically stick with a lot of stuff that it goes on in the NBA and pertaining to the NBA and tanking in the NBA. So, some people will say or ask, why is it difficult to eliminate. Okay. Well, right now, the way everything is set up, because there's an incentive for a top draft pick and a possible long-term perspective. So, for that incentive for the top draft pick, okay, you know the structure of the draft. Award draft picks to the worst performing teams, creating an incentive for losing. So what that means is the teams, and we know how this goes, the teams that do not make the playoffs, the teams that have the worst records in the NBA, get into the lottery. And then, you know, they have the ping pong balls and all that jazz, and they have a this percent, 14% chance of getting the number one pick and all that good stuff, right? That's one reason why it's difficult, because teams, again, well, like we said, field less competitive teams. So what that means is a lot of times, like we see what's going on with the Sixers, our 3 stars are out. But we know our stars have legit injuries. So then it just trickled down to a snowball effect. You had Kelly Oubre playing for a little bit. You got Gershon playing here and there, because you still need some type of veteran, some type of leadership out there with all these pieces that you're bringing in on 10-day contracts just to fill rosters, to play games, play out the schedule, and all that good stuff. All right. You can also have a long-term perspective. All right, which means some teams prioritize building a strong team for sustained future success, even if it requires temporary periods of deliberate underperformance. So, what that means is teams will draft and begin to or attempt to build their team through the draft, which can be done. Okay, we talked about the most recent NBA team that could possibly have been a dynasty. It's the Golden State Warriors. And when you think about it, that core, aside from Kevin Durant going there as a free agent, that core was all drafted to that team. So in essence, they built that in the draft, and they won championships before Kevin Durant got there. So this is what they mean about building through the draft. When you look at Oklahoma City now, once the departures of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, who are now stars and even superstars in the NBA. Before they were that, once all of those 3 players were departed, it was some bad teams. They made some trades here and there and got some stars in there every so often. I think Chris Paul went there for a short time. Paul George was there for a minute. Carmelo Anthony, before he retired, was there, and all yada yada yada. They had some players, but then they decided, when they made these trades, they recouped a lot of draft picks. And what they started doing was they started using those draft picks in ways with pieces that they needed. So they brought draft picks in every time they had one of those stars, where they could sponge and get something from those stars, and then they moved on from those stars. And look at what has done. It allowed that team to be young, stay young, but all progress together, right? And what that means is, for that core, they progress to where they are together. So it's some continuity there. It bodes well in team sports. It bodes well in the NBA. We see it now, the rising of the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right. So they have some considerations where they think might help in eliminating tanking. I don't think any of this stuff is really going to work. But here we go. I mean, I think they've tried well, I can't really say that with this luxury tax and all of this stuff, the different levels. I can't really say that that's part of this, but so some of these solutions: flatten the draft lottery odds. It's a thought. Okay, so while the NBA has already made strides in this area, further flattening the odds, which means reducing the difference in lottery chances between the worst and better lottery teams, can diminish the incentive to be the absolute worst. If you don't understand what that means, Jay Blake, my guy, thanks for tuning in as always. So what that means is you could be the worst team and still, once they flip the percentages and all that, you could be the worst team and still not get that high pick or that number one pick that you so coveted. All right. Incentivize winning later in the season. Some proposals suggest rewarding teams for strong performances after the All-Star break or in the final weeks of the season, rather than solely focusing on overall record. So what they're saying is, if you have a decent record or something at the All-Star break, what they want to do is, based on that record, they want to put you in order to get a higher pick in the draft or whatever. All right. Adjust the draft order determination. Considering performance against other lottery-bound teams incorporating aspects of promotion relegation system, that's not going to work. All right. Stricter enforcement of existing rules. Ensuring that current rules are stringently enforced, especially those related to player availability and rest, can discourage teams from artificially weakening their lineup to lose. So teams can still do what they do, but if they know they're going to be heavily fined for tanking without giving, like we said, we talk about the Sixers, for example, right now. The 3 stars are hurt, but the Sixers 3 stars are legit. They have legit injuries. All right. We know Joel Embiid's knee. Paul George is the finger and the calf and something else, the knee also, hyperextended knee, whatever. Maxey is the back and the finger. Not sure what we're doing with Kelly Oubre, but we have some legitness there, right? So what they're saying with the last piece was, if you do this, you enforce these rules, because you have to have an injury to be injured. For them to put you on the injury report, you have to have an injury. All right. When you don't have an injury and you lie as an organization, you get fined for that. So they have started enforcing that. But maybe if they dig a little bit deeper into some of these injuries, maybe, just maybe, they might find some other stuff. But it's what it is. All right. So we also know that tanking in professional sports might be difficult. There are various proposals and action leagues can take to mitigate the issue. All right. Here are some breakdowns. All right. And this is, like I said, it's going to be a couple things here. All right. And these are the 3 things that I wanted to get to and talk about. So why is tanking a problem? Do you know why it's a problem? We know why it's a problem. All right. Also, first point here, it devalues the competitive integrity of games. When teams prioritize losing to improve their draft position, it can lead to uninspired play and less engaging games for fans. Well, since I'm a Philly guy, and I'm going to talk Sixers, a lot of the times with this, I'm going to relate to the Sixers and what's going on with them now. All right? It devalues the competitive integrity of games. I totally agree with that. It pushes the fans away. Then fans begin to gauge their interest on who the opponent is, just to see other star players or other players. When you get to the point where tickets to games are well below ticket value, like tickets were $14, $5, $6, $8. I even saw one time they were $2 tickets. It's blasphemy. Right? That's because with the product that you put out on the floor, nobody's going to pay money to come and see that. And then you lower the ticket prices, but nothing else is lowered. I was talking about this the other day. I said, wow, everything should be at a discount. Beer, food, paraphernalia, everything should be at a discount. But I guess you figure they're losing money in ticket sales and putting people in the seats, so they got to make some money somewhere, right? Whatever. It can create a negative perception of the sport. Seeing teams openly trying to lose can make the league appear less serious and less committed to providing a quality product. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that one. It does. When you look at this Sixers roster now, I can tell you a good portion of the roster because I follow them, and some of them are G League players from the Delaware Blue Coats. Shout out to my guy, Joe Richmond, and the Delaware Blue Coats, and Matt Murphy down there, the play-by-play guy down there. Good dudes, man. If y'all ever get down there to a game, and I've been telling y'all, so maybe next season, y'all will get on it and get down there to a game. But good dudes, man. You need to check them out when you get down there, if you get down there. But anyway, again, I could name quite a few of the players, like I said, because I'm a Sixers fan. I follow, and I know the G League. But with the influx of these 10-day contracts, and then you got to sign, if you like the kid, you need to fill a roster spot, you got to sign for another 10-day contract. Then ultimately, you might have to get to the point where you got to sign them for the remainder of the season. And it gets like just a revolving door, and you never get to see anything solid. I for one, like I tell you all, I am a basketball fan first and foremost. The Sixers are my favorite team. But as a basketball fan, I will not watch bad basketball. Men's, women's, high school, college, whatever, pro. I will not watch bad basketball. And I tend to turn away from blowouts. But again, if the product is not good, I'm not interested. I'm changing the channel or I'm doing something else. All right. It impacts the overall quality of play. Tanking can lead to a concentration of weaker teams, potentially hindering overall league competitiveness. I can understand where they're going with that, where you have teams that are, like the NCAA says, on the bubble or just right in reach, and then you come up against maybe in a 5-game span or 6-game span, you play 2 or 3 of these teams who are allegedly tanking. You get overconfident, or you can get overconfident, and then you can sneak into the playoffs and get your butts whipped and get smacked back to earth and be like, oh, yeah, this is what really happened. All right. Can it be fixed? It is difficult to eliminate the incentive for losing. As long as the system rewards teams for being at the bottom, even subtly, some teams will find ways to exploit this. Absolutely. You know, these GMs and these owners are savvy, crude businessmen. They will find ways to do things. I mean, hell, when you think about it, again, my Sixers reference, when Brett Brown was here, there was a short period of time before, I think Joel was here, I think it was before maybe even Ben Simmons, where the players that were on the team got extra checks at the end of the season. Just loophole. So that's how bad they were. All right. Incremental improvements are possible. Leagues have implemented and can consider various strategies to lessen the impact of tanking. They can. I mean, they've made an attempt to do it. They added the play-in tournament in the NBA where they give you another shot, but still more needs to be done. Because at this point, like teams get to a certain point and it's like, oh well, we ain't gonna make the play-in tournament, so let's just try and get a better draft pick. All right. Initially there was that incentive for that play-in tournament where it was like, oh, I got a second chance to get in, and all we got to do is get in, and anything can happen once we get in. All right. Potential solutions and attempts to address it. Okay, they adjust the lottery odds. The NBA, for example, has flattened the lottery odds to reduce the disparity between the top and bottom teams' chances of getting the top pick. All right, creating incentives for winning. The NBA's play-in tournament was partly designed to give more teams a reason to compete for the playoffs, even if they're not in the top of the conference. Just what I just told you before I even read it. All right, discouraging sitting healthy players. Leagues can implement stricter rules and penalties for teams that frequently rest healthy star players during the latter part of the season. They have been doing that. All right, this is why I said teams have been becoming creative and giving injury reports that have been approved by the league. Penalizing teams with egregious tanking. Leagues could implement harsher penalties for teams that are demonstrably engaging in tanking, such as fines, loss of draft picks, and other sanctions. They have done some of that as well. Implementing a wheel system for top draft picks. Okay, they're saying that this approach would involve rotating the top pick among the teams that haven't had it recently, reducing the incentive to tank consistently. So basically what that means, if the Sixers were to get a very high draft pick, say the number 1 or number 2 pick this year, they would be on a wheel and not get that pick that high again in a consecutive year. Consider a promotion relegation system. This model, common in soccer leagues, involves promoting the top teams from lower divisions and relegating the bottom teams from higher divisions. This approach could diminish the value of a high draft pick. That is a thought. But the playoffs for the NBA are Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and then the finals. Right. Further reduce the value of a top pick. As getting a high pick seems to be the most tempting part of the system, leagues could also explore ways to make a high pick less impactful. Don't know how they're going to do that, but it's on here. Why do some leagues struggle to solve this? Well, the draft systems encourages it. Okay, and then finding a fair and effective solution is a challenge. Like I just read to you all the stuff that could be done, and I also voiced my opinion. I let you know that some of these things that they had said, well, I don't know how they could do that. So again, the challenge is there, right? But it's going to definitely be hard for leagues in the NBA to stop teams from tanking. Because again, like I said, there are loopholes all the time. And again, these GMs are savvy enough, business savvy enough to know how to utilize these loopholes. In other words, you would have to, I think the strongest points in there are do something with that lottery. Like I like that wheel thing. Because we went through that stretch when Cleveland had a high pick for like 2-3 years in a row. And Sixers got it twice in 3 years or twice in 4 years, something like that, with the Ben Simmons and the Markelle Fultz. But I think that's where you might want to start, because if you don't, like I said, you tried it. You started with the tournament, the play-in tournament, and again, that was some incentive. What was set out to be some incentive for teams to get that second chance to fight to get in. But the way the draft is still set up now, you get to be the bottom, the worst, or the second worst team. You have the highest percentage of getting that number one pick. So even if you were like close, like I said, 8 teams make the playoffs, right? So it's 7, 8, right? But so 7 and 8. So the first 6 teams are in. 7 and 8, 9 and 10 play to get into to fill in those last 2 spots. We all know how that goes. I'm not going to go through all that again. But there was some incentive for that, because you could be in that 10th spot and say, look, we can get on a roll at the right time and somehow sneak in. I mean, although we'll probably be 8th, but we're in, right? But now the way the draft is set up, like I said, worst 2 teams get the highest number. You roll that. You the worst 2 teams. You take that as a crapshoot, 50-50. You roll that all day. You're just going to lose games and see what happens. Doesn't always work out that one of those 2 teams get the number 1 pick. Like, others can get 1 and 2. Doesn't always work out like that, with those ping pong balls and whatever. But I do like the fact that the wheel, if you add the wheel into it, again, where no team gets it in consecutive years. So if you get the number 1 pick this year, you would definitely probably not get, I'm going to say maybe a 1 through 6 pick next year, right? And the Sixers are jockeying back and forth with the Nets right now for the 5 or 6. All right, I think the Sixers are still in the 5th spot right now. The Nets own the tiebreaker, I believe. But they have to stay 5 or 6. I don't think they can move up any further than 5. But they can't fall any lower than 6. If they fall lower than 6, then they don't have a draft pick. And again, like I mentioned in the opening, we don't want that to fall to the Oklahoma City Thunder because we've seen what they have done with draft picks. You arguably have to be thinking right now, if you're the Sixers brass, of preparing yourself for just not having Joel Embiid for next season. You hope that Maxey and Paul George will come in completely healthy and you don't have that freaky accident with Paul George that you did. So you have to prepare to play essentially without Joel Embiid, if you will. So you immediately know you got to think about Andre Drummond because you probably won't want to have him as your starter, legit. You have to work on the growth of Adam Bona. And then you have to think about maybe some free agency or how you approach this draft because you're going to need a big. You can't continue to play small ball with Gershon as your 5. It takes away from his offense. So you have to be very, very critical and very precise in your decision making right now if you're the Philadelphia 76ers. Because we all know that they're not going to admit it anymore, but we know what's going on. It's the tank. We know it. Uh, it is what it is, right? It's not good. It's not fun. Thank God for the Phils. Thank God for riding the Eagles wave, winning the world, winning the Super Bowl. So thank God for the Eagles and thank God for the Phils right now. That's what we live on right now. The Sixers will be back. I'm confident that they'll be back, but the biggest question is how soon will they be back? And the way things are looking right now, there's a ton of questions. So it feels like it's going to be a little bit. Buckle up for the ride, folks. Again, like I tell you all the time, I'm not jumping ship. I got to ride it out. These are my guys. Like I said, I can bounce to the Phils and I can bounce back to reminiscing on the Eagles Super Bowl win. But I got the Phils now. But again, I'm not jumping ship. It is what it is. It happens in basketball. This is why I'm here to try and help you all through it as well. It's going to be tough. I know this, but I'm here with you. I'm here for you. All right, we can get through this together. Again, it is going to be tough. I know it. You know it. We all know it. Just to bring up a couple other things, people were still whispering and talking about the Sixers finally cutting ties with Joel Embiid. There have been rumors and chatter and mock stuff about trading Paul George. Listen, can't trade either one of them right now. And reason being, the contract that Paul George signed, the extension that Joel Embiid signs, also the injury list for both players, the age for Paul George. So, if you were to somehow miraculously get a taker for one of these two guys, teams are going to lowball you from the start. But if you get a taker, somehow miraculously you get a taker, I feel like the way the collective bargaining agreement is set up, the Sixers would be still have to pay some of that contract, which would not be a good thing. But you don't want to pay a contract for a guy that's not even on your roster. It has happened in the NBA, happens in other sports, but as the Sixers where they are right now, in the situation that they are, you can't afford to do that. So, like I said, you have to, in the back of your mind, and it should be pushing more to the forefront now, that you have to prepare for a situation where you're not going to have Joel Embiid for the entire season of next season. I hope I'm wrong in saying that, but this is all incumbent on how soon he gets the surgery, if and when he gets the surgery, and how he takes the rehab approach. Those are the big questions. When he gets the surgery and how he attacks the rehab approach. I think Paul George will be fine. I know Maxey is going to be fine. The other thing will be for these players that are auditioning right now, we know the majority of them will not be here. I expect Lonnie Walker to be around because he is signed for 2 years. Brent Grimes is is a restricted free agent. So it looks like we could possibly have him for one more year at least if they don't try to re-sign him. The rest of those guys, some of those guys are going to go back down to the G League. Some of those guys are just going to get waived and cut. I hope they can do something with Gerson. I don't know how many years Dre signed for. We got to bring him back. I think Kelly signed for 2 years going into this year, so he might have another year. But, Kyle Lowry's contract will probably come off the books as well. He can get a half zip now and be a coach. It's just that of just putting the tape on, just give him a full half zip and let him be a coach. But I think the Sixers will be able to do some things, possibly. Not a lot. So it's going to take a lot of internal stuff. Possibly get a draft prospect that could come in and play. Hopefully we can get Jared McCain back, which we should because he's been out all year, so we could possibly get him back. That's going to help as well. I would like to see them maybe get a harder training camp look at Jared Butler. But that's about it. So again, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough for people. It's going to be a long ride. But again, like I said, I think we'll be back. Again, as I said, the bigger question is I just don't know how soon. But I do know it is going to take a little bit. It's going to take a little bit. Some of the other things that you have to consider also, when the Sixers made the trades that they made, like with the Caleb Martin, which we thought were good signings, but then he got hurt. It was like the injury bug was like COVID for the Sixers. It was like it was there, and it just trickled down to everybody at some point. So it's tough to, and speaking of the coaching staff, it's tough to put a lot of things together when you have a roster today and then 2 days from now you don't have that same roster. You have like two players from, well, not that roster, from one lineups you have in a rotation. Now you don't have that many guys in that rotation. It's tough to put together game plans and go into games when your starting lineup is changing like every other game, when your roster is changing every other week. I am not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying that's what happened. That's what I feel like I saw happen. And it's tough. That happens in professional sports. Unfortunately, you could say it's our turn. Hopefully, it is a turn for the good or a turn for the better, where, excuse me, things are going the way they're going now. Now we have time to get some things right. It is going to be a long, long, treacherous summer for the Sixers coaching staff and front office. I just hope that they can put something together that can bring this team back, or start to bring this team back to the story franchise that it truly is. It's going to take some work. We all know that. But I mean, I'm here for the long ride, and I hope they're up for the work. I hope the guys have seen something in this season, and take a lot from it. I hope that fuels them in their off-season regimen and coming into camp next season, remembering what took place in this season. I hope that fuels them to be better. They were still playing for Nick Nurse, if you will, until it just got bad. I don't know how it happened, but it just got bad. It's like the injuries just kept piling up and piling up and piling up. And again, when you get injuries like that as a coach, it's tough. Trust me, it's tough to put things together when you don't have players, when you don't have, for lack of a better phrase, true quality NBA players. It's tough. It's tough to compete. But again, I'm not saying that they're out of the water, but I understand what they're going through. I understand what Nick Nurse is going through as a coach. I understand it. The front office has my head spinning a lot. I am often confused at a lot of the moves, the most recent moves that have been made over the past couple of years. One would argue that it is time to move on from Daryl Morey. If that is the case, then who do you bring in? There was talk about bringing in the former Golden State Warriors GM, but that cooled off very quickly. So again, who do you bring in as a GM? Great question, right? I thought so. That's why I asked. I don't have an answer for it myself either. But it is a question. It has to get better. And we all know that old saying, things will get worse before they get better. We all know that. And I think we're at a point where it's already worse. So we just hopefully get to the summer and things will get better coming into training camp. And throughout the summer, we'll hear some things and get some news that will have us believing that things are going to be better, or going to get better, or begin to get better. But we also have to remember that it's going to be a tough road. It's going to be a tough road. But we got to ride with the Phils. Phils are on now, like I said. I don't know what the score is. I didn't get an alert, but they should. They tipped. I said first pitch, I believe was at 3:35. So baseball's in, so it's gonna be a lot of baseball, a lot of games to talk about. We will cover some baseball games as we progress. Next month, tomorrow is April 1st. In a couple weeks, we have the NFL draft. Got something else to look forward to in all the Sixers mess. Look forward to the draft. Look forward to Howie cooking again. I'm sure he's got that pot simmering now, cleaning it up, getting it ready, getting that cherry wood or whatever kind of wood he uses to get the smoke going. Because I think Howie's going to cook. We have 20 draft picks over the next 2 years. They made some moves. Some guys went away in free agency and got paid, got some money. But again, like we said, these draft picks are going to allow the Eagles to pay players on rookie salaries and still bring in some stars and pay stars that are here. So I like where we are. I like the way things look. So look forward to the draft. All right, look forward to the NFL draft. I think it's going to be a good one. I think you'll be good with what the Eagles do. I mean, who else has drafted better than the Eagles over the past 2-3 years? I'll wait. Anybody know anybody else that has drafted better than Howie and the Eagles over the past 2-3 years? You let me know. And what I'm gonna say to you is, you're wrong. It hasn't happened. It's been the Eagles. 2 Super Bowls in the past 3 years. Went this year and convincingly beat the team that they closely lost to the first time they played them in the Super Bowl. Again, we can go back, digress, the questionable calls, yada, yada, yada. Even with that, they were still in that game close. They lost by 3. When they went this year, they beat them from start to finish. From start to finish. They didn't know what hit them. And I was happy for that. Because I mentioned it. I said I felt like that's the way that they had to get it. Because, we all were talking about the Chiefs and the referees and this and that. And the one thing I said was, look, the Eagles just got to go in there with the mindset, we got to take this game from the start. Don't even get a refs a chance to make a change or make it closer to what it is. We just go in there and take this game and keep on taking it. And that's what they went and did. They went and took that game and won the Super Bowl, brought that Lombardi trophy home to Philadelphia for the second time. Did Jalen Hurts quieted a lot of naysayers, right? 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Second time around, Super Bowl MVP. Doesn't get much better than that, folks. Showed you what he could do. Saquon Barkley was a great addition, but again, some of those players that Saquon Barkley, those big runs were audibleized by Jalen Hurts. Silencing can't read defenses and all that other kind of jazz. So you got to give credit where credit is due. I mean, I hope that his performance has again quieted even more naysayers. Hope he gets his flowers soon, because he's still not getting as much as he should, in my opinion. But we'll see. All right, I think the Eagles are going to be built for another, possibly 1 or 2 more Super Bowls. I think that's where they're built. Right? So we'll see what happens. Folks, it has been a great, great Monday afternoon. All right, it's nice out today. I got out the car said 82. It didn't feel like 82, but it said 82. But it's a little breeze, so it's beautiful outside. All right, I know schools were closed today. There was the ed, and I know the stories about it. But if you are out, please be careful. Enjoy this beautiful weather. Monday, be great on purpose, folks. We got some sports activity for you. Again, I already gave you the crown or the king tournament, that second NCAA tournament. In the NBA tonight, you got Clippers, Magic, Heat, Wizards, Kings, Pacers, Jazz, Hornets, Celtics, Grizzlies, Bulls, Thunder, Nets, Mavs, Rockets, Lakers. The NHL, You have the Wild and the Devils, the Predators and the Flyers, the Flames and the Avalanche, and the Stars and the Kraken. In Major League Baseball, Royals, Brewers, Twins, White Sox, Red Sox, Orioles, Rockies at Phillies are playing right now. Mets, Marlins, Rangers, Reds, Pirates, Rays, Nationals, Blue Jays, Angels, Cardinals, Giants, Astros, Guardians, Padres, Tigers, Mariners, Cubs, and the A's, and the Braves, and the Dodgers. Folks, you know where to find me. At SportsRap CEO, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. Make sure you get over to YouTube, hit that page, SportsRap TV, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up on the videos that you like, and then hit that bell so you'll be alerted when new content is up. All right, also, check out the webpage, sportsrapradio.com. And also, make sure you get over to the Patreon page. All right, summertime is coming. You know how we do here at Heat 100 Radio. All right, we always have tickets to some of the hottest shows. Get a membership to that Patreon page because I'm going to be exclusively, hopefully, possibly, maybe, $4 membership. All right, patreon.com/sportsrap. You get exclusive content and opportunities to win some stuff. All right, be great on purpose. Make sure y'all follow the mobile app at the mobile app Heat 100 Radio Online. I'm sorry, on the iOS for the Apple users and the Google Play Store for you Android users. Again, be great, great. Enjoy this weather, y'all. All right, talk to y'all soon. Hit you up. Peace.